Well, good afternoon. I want to welcome all of you to the River Exchange. We decided to do our program today outdoors just because it's a beautiful day and we're passionate about doing activities and programs outside. And so my name is Karen Gish and I'm here with Penny Koval, who is the founder of Living Well Institute. And we are on today for our weekly community program called Live and Learn. And each week we take two of our 7 steps and we have a dialogue on 2 steps. And today we're going to be talking about renewing our bodies as well as maximizing our resources. And our executive director, Steph Eisenbeiss, had posted a challenge, and the challenge is to encourage all of you to take a video on Facebook Live that has to do with what have you learned in the midst of this quarantine, and as it relates to renewing our bodies. And so I want to encourage you in the course of this week to create a video and post it onto our page. And so I guess, Penny, I would like to begin by just asking you, what is the importance of renewing our bodies in the midst of this quarantine time? I think we're 76 days into this quarantine.
Well, hi everyone. Sorry for the little delay at the beginning. Karen and I are trying to be IT people, and our IT staff and helpers are busy doing other things. But you asked me about how do we renew our body, or what's the importance during this COVID. I guess I would tell you that I don't know that I look at renewing our body any difference when we have COVID versus not having COVID, because I think a lot of times we have, we take care of our bodies, and sometimes we spend a lot of time trying to make them look good on the outside or whatever, without knowing how important it is to make them strong on the inside. And so, in the context of COVID, it's interesting. I just got a call just a couple hours ago that potentially one of our family members may have COVID. And it was interesting because as a family, we kind of pulled together and we said, okay, we're going to make sure we keep them in prayer. We make sure that we get them good foods. We find out what do we need to do to boost their immune system. And of course, this was after, they called the physicians, and a lot of times, renewing your body, the best thing you can do with it is to keep it strong, to continue to boost your immune system, to manage your stress, and to recognize that if you don't take care of your body, when you need it to take care of you, it won't know how to do that. And I think with COVID, we have been educated by several different means of information, and I think the biggest challenge in renewing our bodies is to really know what's the right thing to do. And I would just say for all of you who are listening, what might be right for an elderly person or a person with suppressed immunity may look different than a person who is healthy. I think we as individuals need to get a little bit more confidence in really listening to our bodies. Because if we're going to renew our body, we first need to be able to be connected to it and recognize that the way that our body operates is that it's got senses that let us know what's real. And I think the biggest challenge we're faced with right now is to figure out what's the truth And then how do I take care of my body in such a way that allows it to be healthy?
Yeah. I mean, I think of the stressors that come into our lives each and every day. And when you think about this time of quarantine, are the stressors any different over this time? And what would you identify as the main stressors?
Well, I think one of it, just to let you know from a clinical perspective, at Living Well, I'm actually a chiropractor, and so is my husband, and we have a nurse on staff, and we have accessibility to amazing physicians who oftentimes have been a part of our educational programs that we have had live. And I think the reality of it is when we say, what is stressors? Sorry about that. The wind is really rip-roaring out here. When we say, what is our stressors? Again, let's use the example of social distancing. The reason social distancing is important is that we look at this virus and we realize that in order to minimize the spread of it, we want to allow space so that the germs and that virus doesn't get passed from one person to the other. But I think what happens is if I get afraid that everywhere I go are going to be germs that are going to make me sick, then it's likely that my fear is going to suppress my immune system more than the germs that I'm going to expose my body to. And I think, I say that because, I know that as a clinician, and if I had my family physicians or friends who are clinicians here with me, they'd say the same thing, or if Kathy, our nurse. We talk about washing our hands, about making sure that we're safe and conscientious, but I think, I said earlier that we are living in a season right now where there's a pandemic of COVID, but an epidemic of fear. So in social distancing, if we created social isolation and disconnection, and our minds are full of fear, our immune systems and our body's ability to be resilient is going to be compromised. And I think we as a general public need to become educated, and the challenge is there's such abundance of information that we don't know what the truth is, which causes more stress, because then we keep looking for more clear answers. And I would just encourage those who are listening, we're out in nature, and Karen and I are probably about 5.5 feet apart from each other, and the wind is blowing. It's beautiful. But I don't have a whole lot of fear of COVID, because I've educated myself to know, what does my body need? How do I live my life? How do we operate as a family? And then what kind of connections do we have? But I think the real challenge here is to know your body, and then to be wise, relative to the information that you're accepting as truth. And right now, there's opposing information out there, and I wouldn't want to be the one to judge exactly what is the absolute truth, because I think in this season, we don't know what that is.
I think in my own life, just the importance of getting outdoors has been huge for me, and I realize I have space here to do that. But I think irregardless of whether you've got an acre of land or no land, you still have access. I heard everybody in Pennsylvania is probably within 2 miles of a stream or a creek, and I just think to get outdoors is a great way to to quiet your mind, to change your perspective, and I'm a person who lives alone a lot of the time, and to me, getting outdoors is a way to connect to the world, as well as to neighbors, as well as think in my life, one of the stressors is 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 what goes on in my mind a lot of the time, and I think especially in being kind of quarantined in our homes, it's like our space has grown smaller, and as that happens, everything is magnified. Everything is magnified, and it can be a positive, or it can become a negative. And to find creative ways to quiet our minds has been big too.
Well, it's interesting. We've been doing Living Well and educating the community for, I mean, it's going on 2 decades now. And I think the interesting thing is that when you think about Living Well, which is a lifestyle education program that has 7 principles, the first one is to take responsibility, the second one is to renew your mind, the third one is to renew your spirit, and then the ones we focused on today is to renew your body and maximize your resources, with the last 2 being integrate them or live life in 3D and doing it daily. And I guess the thing of it is when we talk about renewing our body, I think our culture is very influenced by the physical. And I think you hit a really good point, Karen, that when we start talking about maximizing our resources in the context of living well, so if we think about we want to care for our mind, our spirit, and our body, or our body, mind, and spirit, or whatever order you find yourself passionate about, but the reality of it is our body is a physical expression of usually what goes on between our head and our heart. And I think when we start talking about stress, and we look at COVID, which is a physical virus, but in order to fight the virus, our body, it has the ability and immune system that, I mean, there's been lots of people who've contracted COVID, and I mean, your son's friends had it. I mean, like I said, I've got family members, and the goal is to minimize stress, to maximize good nutrition, make sure you're getting good rest, and take care of yourself. And all of us should learn that when we're in stressful times, when our mind it doesn't know if it should go left or right, or our heart is breaking and our spirit is a mystery that we don't understand, or we feel disconnected from God, whatever context we live in, our body responds to that. So when we start talking about maximizing your resources, a lot of times, and we see it all the time in the families and individuals we take care of, is that when there's a problem, we think we need to do more. We need to, I mean, I think about the utilization of masks and protective gear to make sure we're safe. I think to some degree, if we take that response to the extreme, then we put ourselves in harm's way again, because we've isolated ourselves. Even the use of masks. I mean, I again, you know, our desire is that we've got an amazing diverse group of people that make up Living Well. We've got people who are to the left and to the right, and Democrats and Republicans, and from different cultures, and I think one of the things that we learn is that we need to honor each individual for the decisions that they make. So when it comes to maximizing your resources, if you're stressed out and you've got physical limitations or problems in the physical, maybe you need to look at what's going on in your head and your heart. And so when we talk about maximizing resources, we live in a country, in a county. We're in York County here, but we work a lot in Dauphin County and in Lancaster County, and there's an abundance of resources out in the community on the internet that can help people take care of themselves. But I think we've become overburdened and overconsumed by thinking some external resource is going to make us feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when I think about renewing our body in the midst of COVID, a lot of people are stressed out. They may be consuming more alcohol or using drugs, or abusing the drugs that have been prescribed to them, or eating too much food, or sitting around doing nothing, or some of us are working too much. And part of it has to do with balance. Like identifying what really, where's my problem, or where's my fear. We talk about a pandemic of COVID and an epidemic of fear. Like, where are you and I, and where do we express our fear? And I think we need to look at that, and I think we need to begin to become aware of our own physical well-being and not think that some external resource is going to make us all better, or some magic wand. And I think, again, I think this is unfortunate, the situation that we're experiencing, but my hope would be that all of us could learn some behaviors and some activities that would restore our bodies, our minds, and our spirits.
Yeah.
And I think, if we don't decide that we want something new, change is never going to happen.
Yeah. I think of, we're a lifestyle education program, and yet we have an educational component, we have an experiential component, and we have an environment component.
Yep.
And that, I advertised that today we would talk about creating healthy environments. And out of our own experience, we know the value of creating a healthy, healing environment. And I guess if you had any advice to give us on creating a healthy home environment at this point, what would that look like?
Well, it's interesting because I think some of you may say, you guys are out. Even whether we're at the farm or in Hershey, we have some beautiful places and spaces by which we can care for people and care for ourselves. But I also would tell you that we spend time in the city, and we're taking care of people. And sometimes we need to become more aware of how is our body responding to our external environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whether it's putting a happy picture on your phone, or creating a space in your house that has some level of order. And order may not, for some people, order means I need to get the Clorox out, make sure everything's wiped down. Or order may mean I need to put a picture of my family or something that makes me find peace. And so I think to some degree, creating the right environment in your home first requires that you do a little interest inventory within yourself to say, what do you want?
Yeah.
I think about a lot of times we look left and right to find out what our truth is.
Yeah.
And I just think, I'm amazed at, even when I'm in the city, I can walk down the street and I can go to the river,
Yeah.
or I can find, there's some cool gardens, but we're able to get outside, and if you feel like masks are necessary, outside, whatever environment you feel would bring you joy, you've got to give yourself permission to stand up and be responsible for yourself. And then the next is to make sure that you're honoring people around you, because we have a lot of people now who are in a house, and they've got family members, and by now, if you're confined, as you said, to smaller spaces which magnify some of the challenges, I would just encourage you to use your imagination, your mind, to begin to just really, when I say use your imagination, part of it is I can be in any place, and I can close my eyes, and I can begin to create a reality that my body begins to. I use my imagination to imagine what does it feel like to smell something, and after a while you begin to realize that your body is this amazing vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you learn how to love it and take care of it, it will take you places that you can only have imagined, but you have to be willing to connect with it.
Yeah.
And so if you're, the first thing, in creating an environment in your home or wherever you are, there's some, Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist. He was considered the father of contemplation, and he endured the Holocaust. And he talks about really going inward to find the meaning of his life, because the existing reality in his external world, the tangible evidence of life, was so devastating. And I say that because this isn't the Holocaust. We're not imprisoned, but we are given information, and how we respond to that information allows us to decide whether or not we're gonna have faith, and we're gonna confront the fears that are going on between our ears, or in our families, or we're gonna be victims of circumstances and succumb to stress. And when you start to get stressed, you oftentimes you're not aware of your breath, and your mind starts to race. And I think we need, as individuals, to realize that we can be empowered to make some changes in our external environment. But I think we do that by going inward and finding out, giving ourselves permission to really decide, what do we want? And I don't mean that we should go out and be reckless during this season, but I think we are living in a time where the strong will get stronger and the weak will get weaker. And if you are weak but want to be strong, then begin to take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Yeah. You know, I think in my own life, in creating an environment I want to spend time in, to me the important components are light and love and peace. And you also talked about the importance of going internal, and I do believe our internal environment is extremely important, and the order of establishing a healthy internal environment full of light and love and peace, and then allowing that to influence our external environment.
You know, it's interesting. We've been taking care of people for a long time, and I think about renewing the body. And a lot of times, when people look at living well, they feel like it's a wellness program, and so, you know, it's about what we eat and wellness components and good medical and clinical and behavioral health resources. And I mean, all of that's part of what we do. But I really think what we do, and I was thinking about it when you talked about peace and light and love. The other thing for me sometimes is I'm very influenced by visual and by my auditory system. And when we talk about the body, we've got 5 senses, and then we've got the 6th sense, which is our intuition. And I think you know, I like sounds. I like to listen to nice music. I like to be quiet. And the other thing is that when we talk about sounds, and we're talking about the physical, because we talk about body, mind, and spirit. When we talk about the physical, we talk about the body, but that's also the world of doing something, like some tangible movement. And I think about movement, and I think about music. And I think about the vibration of music and sounds. And I say that because one of the things that I probably spend a lot of time relative to having people renew their body is the vibration. What does peace feel like? And a lot of times, if peace to those of you who are listening means I know the right answer, well, you're going to be in a time of uncertainty where there may not be any answers. So peace has to be an experience. It has to be something that you feel.
Yeah.
And I say that because when we talk about sound, I mean, sound makes a vibration that hits our tympanic membrane in our ear, that then is translated in our brain, and then our body and our minds experience something either pleasant or unpleasant. And I just would encourage those who are listening, when we talk about renewing the body, I mean, don't give up hope that while this challenge that we're confronted right now is a virus that affects our body, please know that you can take care of yourself, and that there's ways to experience a very peaceful, loving life that is worth pursuing. And again, I think at Living Well, we've got all kinds of activities that people can participate in. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we do a 3D balance class, which is a stretch class, which is led by Kylie, my daughter, who talks about the body and how does stress and life experiences in the past, the present, and the future, how do we hold them in our body, and then how do we stretch and learn to do a head to toe and work through that. So yeah, I think we're excited to provide you guys and be a part of experiencing life amidst COVID. But I would say that my hope would be that a lot of the things that I'm doing, that we're doing as a family, and even that we're doing in our work, I mean, it's good news.
Yeah.
It's good advice to be strong, and if you don't like the life that you're living in, change it. And if you can't change it, find some people who will love you through it. But don't give up.
Or even just change a corner of your life or your environment. Take a step in that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been encouraging a lot of people just to be kind to yourself in this time, and I think we're often hardest on ourselves, and we're spending a lot of time alone with ourselves and with other people, and it's just a great time to choose to be kind to yourself. And so we thank you for your time this afternoon and for joining us out here at the River Exchange, and I would like to invite all of you to come out here to experience it out here, and it is truly a place to restore your body, your mind, and your spirit. And so I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.